How does it feel becoming famous off of the backs of making fun of other people?
It feels great.
We're here to squash some beef for a post that he made about us. They threatened to sue you. They send you a cease and desist. You call their bluff and you keep making videos.
Yeah.
Why do pastors keep falling? Because no one's holding him accountable. No one has checks and balances. That's wrecking people.
Andy Mineo and Lecrae are a part of the Illuminati.
Using manipulation, flattery, compliments, and the Lord as a means to an end, that's the issue.
Is Kaleb really saved? What the skibbity toilet Sigma Riz, Ohio Levelton got, baby Gronk, Livy Dunn, rizzed up. My thoughts do not reflect the beliefs of Happy and Healthy Podcast LLC. You guys are so covered now.
What's up, Happy and Healthy? Welcome back to the podcast. We are your hosts, Jeanine and Kaleb Ward.
We are back
At it again.
different studio, and this is going to be crazy. We're here to address some issues, okay?
Yeah.
Some big issues.
Yeah, no, but we're really excited about today's episode. As you guys know, we sit down, we banter, we talk about all sorts of things. And I really am loving season 5 because we have expanded the topics a little bit more. Of course, as you guys know, I'm always going to have faith-based episodes and topics, but I feel like we're getting to discuss more things that we don't normally discuss.
It's amazing that we didn't get canceled the last 2 weeks because we did red flags in men. We did red flags, a lot of red flags in women.
Yeah, and some girls came for me, guys. I'm so sorry. I wasn't trying to be mean. So today's episode might be a little different, but different is good. Some change is good. We are really excited about our guest today. So if you're wondering, like, where are you? Where's your classic studio? We are filming somewhere else because we have a guest today. Would you say he's controversial?
I would say in the Christian space, he's pretty controversial.
I feel like he kind of like gets a big old pot and then a little like spoon and just
He comes
which is good.
He makes fun of everybody. I like to say he's a blend of John Chris and Trey Kennedy.
But like he has his own little touch, which is great. So he's sitting right here. What's up, Josh Benson?
What's up, dude?
Yeah, I'm kind of like a witch. You know, I've got a big pot at home and I just kind of stir it up a little bit. But yeah, I love the Trey Kennedy comp. That's great. Trey and John are awesome.
We're here to squash some beef.
Yeah. I didn't know we had beef. You know.
I think I didn't either until people started tagging me.
So
Yeah, I don't know why that happened.
So we'll set the story. I'm at the gym. All of a sudden, I get a call from this guy named Josh Benson, who's sitting to the left of me. He's like apologizing for a post that he made about us. And I'll go ahead and try to share the post.
Sure.
Take that knowledge and to apply it to dating. No, because we need to talk about dating. No, because we don't talk about dating enough. To apply that knowledge to relationships, how can you expect a godly man to be your zaddy? Y'all with me? Y'all with me? Wow. How can you expect a godly man to be your zaddy if his first priority isn't God the Daddy?
Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh, that's so weird.
And I mean,
So good.
so many people tagged you.
It's so
Yeah.
good.
And okay, so let's just rewind. First and foremost, I know his wife, which is why this all just organically worked out. Sydney and I have been friends for a very long time. It was just really cool seeing Sydney get a good guy until you came for me. No, I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
I know. And now we hate you. No, of course.
Totally kidding.
Oh yeah, that like wasn't even about y'all.
No, I know. But it was funny because you called Kaleb afterwards, right? And you
Because
were like,
everyone's like,
it's
y'all are my
Jeanine.
friends. Like, it's not like I called or reached out to everyone that they were tagging. But like when I made that video, and when I make a lot of my videos, it's not like I've got one person in mind. That I'm
Totally.
gunning
We-
for.
It could have been me, absolutely.
We also had some friends text us and tell us to ask you if it was about them.
To an extent, they were probably on my mind, yes. But it's not like it was just like that one specific, like, I'm going to make fun of it. There's like, the reason the comedy resonated is because there were a lot of people commenting a ton of different podcasts because it's just kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And I wasn't like gunning for one person, just rather a demographic, if you will.
But that's what we were saying in the beginning is like, I didn't personally think that was me, but if people thought that was me, it's like, okay, like if the shoe fits, I guess.
Wow.
You got to like laugh about it. Like we were joking about this. We're like, you have to like pick at yourself a little bit, and like
Yeah.
it totally could have been me, but now I'm like so conscious. I'm like, don't say that's
Don't say
good.
wow. Don't
Don't
say
say
wow.
that's good. Like, oh, that's so good.
Also, it's not like if you do say that on your pod,
Whoa.
it's not like that's sinful.
Right.
It's
But-
just like
but
you're a
we
little
all do
goofy.
it.
We all have our goofy little whatever.
Listen,
you know.
if you make fun of my wife ever again,
Is that on site?
Beef. Let's go.
Y'all show up
My
just
money's
knocking
definitely
on
on
the door.
you.
dude, if you make fun of my wife one more time, I'm going to start Prosperity Church out of
Okay.
Just to spite you.
just to spite you.
But tell them like who you are, what you do.
Josh Benson. Some people call me Josh Pritchard, depending on if you knew Sydney first. You know, I'm a regular guy. I still have a 9 to 5, but whenever COVID hit, I got a knack for making TikToks, and I've always been a Christian, so Christian TikToks,
Yeah.
but kind of the comedic route. You know what I'm saying? Just kind of taking the John Crist or the Trey Kennedy route, and some people liked it apparently, and now we're here and we keep on making goofy little videos when we have breaks at work. You know,
How many followers do you have? Because you have a lot on TikTok.
like close to 600. Pretty
Wow.
close. Yeah.
600,000.
That's like the next milestone.
So is your wife okay with like you like
Oh yeah, my wife's my sounding
famous,
board.
dude?
No, let's not go crazy. But she's my
Like, we're in the
sounding board.
presence of a celebrity.
How does it feel becoming famous off of the backs of making fun of other people?
It feels great. It feels
Whoa.
really good.
I'm uncomfortable sitting here. Y'all, this is so not my regular thing.
I want the record to
Well,
say.
okay.
but this is going to be good.
Let me put this on record because when I started making TikToks, right? Yeah, I'm living in East Texas. COVID hit. It's like wastelands. The character, the John Michael, it was initially about dating primarily. For those of you that don't know, John Michael's the cringy Christian guy. Like in dating, like God told me you're my wife, and oh wait, God's telling me we need to break up, and he probably like just shames you a little bit. And he's a little too horny too. It's just like what's wrong with this guy? But the character was based on like things that I would look back on, like myself doing in high school and college, and just cringe. Like I'd be like, oh, I can't believe I did that. So I was initially like making fun of myself or like my very close friends, like their personas. And then it just blew up to where people are commenting like, yeah, I go to church in Wyoming and we have this guy, and I go to church in Pennsylvania. And I'm like, oh, this is like everywhere. It's not just the South.
Yeah.
So for what it's worth, it started because I was making fun of myself, but then we just, you know, expanded the company, and now we make fun of, you know, we had to put a towel on our head to make fun of women because I don't have a wig, I guess. You know, we
can
make
get
fun
you
of
one.
pastors. Yeah, I would love to have one. So yeah, that's how we got started at least.
Okay, the reason why I like your account, and also sometimes it's scary because like you never know what video you're gonna make next. You're like, who's he coming for next? Is you say the things that like nobody wants to say, and you're observing them. Like you're seeing the things because, as you know, like we've combined Christianity and social media, and it's a really weird dichotomy. But you're saying the things that like nobody wants to say.
Yeah, it's Jester's privilege. Like, think back to like 1500s or even before that, you got the king. The only person that could make fun of the king was the jester. You know, but the jester would just say the things like, oh, the king's fat, you know, blah, blah, blah. It's Jester's privilege. Like, I'm just here to say the things about our Christian community, which I love. Like, I love Jesus.
You're also a Christian.
I am a Christian to clarify here, but like, you know, to say the things that people are like noticing but too afraid to say. It's kind of like, we do need to address this.
And we do need to laugh at ourselves. Like, we do things that are probably so cringy. Like, probably. And when I saw that video, I told Jeanine, I was like, we should actually get him on the podcast. And she was like, really? And I was like, yeah, because I think it's so cool to be
Wait,
able.
whoa, that made it sound like I didn't like him.
Well, no, you wanted him on the podcast, but I was just
I was
like,
really?
It's
We've
been like
never-
3 months. We've been in a group text with Janine. Please let me come on the podcast. Oh,
you never had a comedian on the podcast.
That's true.
So it's like different.
Right.
And we want to, I think, not only just talk about the comedy aspect of things. I think there's a lot of our listeners who struggle with Christians. They struggle with Christian creators. They struggle with Christian pastors. They struggle with anyone who has a following. And you've created a system where you kind of are exposing that, making fun of that, holding people accountable per se. And so there's a lot of people who have church hurt and different things. And so I think it's cool because you've created a place where people who maybe have these feelings and struggle can go to your content and go, oh, yeah, like that's true. And so that kind of leads into what we want to talk about in the podcast.
Right. So one of the things that you also do is like, it's not just like humor. Like you genuinely, you like call people out.
Yeah.
And that is something that I haven't like really seen. It is interesting because like you kind of just are calling a spade a spade.
Yeah.
And in the Christian world, I feel like we're seeing so many things get exposed that should have been exposed like a while ago. And you're kind of like, hey, let me go ahead and speak for the people that maybe like didn't have a voice or whatever, which I respect that. But sometimes it can be, you know, a little like, oh, where is the balance between, as I was talking about this when we talked yesterday, of like either holding someone accountable, also letting God do what he does best, which is like exposing injustice. And then also like, when should you just be like, okay, that's not my business. That's not my tea. Like,
Yeah.
how do you decide what to actually speak out against? And then what are you just like, that's not my thing?
I mean, the first thing is it something that I think when we're talking about like the investigative side, like, am I qualified to speak out on it? Like my 9 to 5 is I work in finance. So usually I'm good with like the numbers and financials and like that whole side of things. First of all, it's like, am I the guy to maybe cast like an educational viewpoint on this? Because it's one thing to just like talk on finances if you're like 13 and like, yeah, like I bought a skateboard last week, so I'm pretty savvy, but it's actually knowing that I can speak on it. And then 2, I kind of run it through my sounding board, which is usually my wife or like close friends of like, do y'all think this is like worth it? This is what I'm seeing with this, or this is what I've dug up on this company or this church. Because I am confrontational. And then I'll get worked up about something. I'm like, I need to freaking bring these people. Like, I'm going to bring them down. And then everyone else will be like, no, that's stupid. Like, there's no point in you doing that. And then it's, yeah, you're probably right. I get worked up. So
Cool. So this is where I'm interested in what you're doing. I was on TikTok about a month or 2, and you started doing these TikTok series on this ministry or this church in Louisiana. And I went down like a rabbit hole of what you were investigating. You were going so far into it where you were getting threatened by lawsuits. So can you take us from the very day where you started looking into this church and what transpired, and then like, yeah, give us everything that happened. I think a lot of people who don't know the situation would be very curious, because I think we see a lot of fraudulent things happening within the Christian communities, especially churches and ministries that are for profit in disguise as nonprofits. And I think you found like a niche of exposing this.
yeah. And dude, I would say we don't even see it. Like, for a lot of people, I think it starts off with like discernment of like, this feels off. Like, this doesn't feel right. And I'm a huge advocate of like, don't sit here and base everything off of your feelings, because feelings can be fleeting. Like, validate how you feel and see if it's legit. But for a lot of people, to your point, it's just like, this feels off and I can't put my finger on it. So he's an associate pastor in a church in Ruston, Louisiana, alongside with the family that he married into. That's the only people that work at the church. And they be using that tithe money for private jets and Range Rovers and the works. And they believe that God is calling everyone to be wealthy and that you better tithe. But it seems like the only people that go to their church that are wealthy are them. So, you know, kind of hate that. But see his ads, because he has a business where he can teach you how to preach the gospel full time on social media and make millions doing it and get millions of followers. You just have to buy his course for $5,000 to $10,000. That's all you have to do. And of course, in this ad, he's like, you know, with his Range Rover and this private jet, and he's got like Gucci and Prada. I'm like, this feels weird. This feels strange, like spiritually. So then I'm just like doing research, like looking up his organization that you can donate to, and all the links just go to his Venmo, and it's not 501c3 certified, which you can like look that stuff up. And I'm like, this is like super interesting that he has all these nice things in this organization.
So you're just sitting around one day, you're looking on Instagram, you see his ads pop up, and you see the cars, you see the flashy lifestyle, you see that he's also an associate pastor, and you're like, oh my gosh, what is this?
Yeah, like I don't have any problem. Like Chandler Moore pulls up in a Range Rover. Dog, you're Maverick City. Like, you make money. And you do it legit because you're, like, insanely talented. No, don't care. No shame. Like, that's between you and God. But why is an associate pastor in Ruston, Louisiana, like, flexing like this?
Okay, I'm wondering, because, like, we live in such a cancel culture. When you're about to do something like this, like, scripturally, how do you reconcile, like, okay, I'm going to call this guy out, and then this person I'm not? You know what I mean?
And it's tough, right? Because you're exactly right. Like, they've got a family, you know, and they've got mouths to feed. Like this next one that I'm going to be talking about, the CEO's got like 6 kids. And so for me, it's always kind of like, I do feel bad for those involved. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel bad for your family. Like, I feel bad for your kids. And I wouldn't say I'm just a huge proponent of cancel culture. But spiritually, when I think about people using our God to pad their pockets and, you know, what Scripture tells us about, you know, teachers and leaders that do things like this, it just kind of pisses me off. So I feel guilty maybe for how it can affect families, but like I really don't feel that bad for shedding light.
I respect that.
So I want to keep going down that. So
Yeah.
you see all this. What was the investigation like and the research that you did to then be able to concoct these TikToks that went mainstream viral, where it was on the news,
Yeah.
you know? Yeah.
Which is wild. It started with just like IRS websites, state of Louisiana website, like nonprofits, you know, forms, you know, who's listed here, blah, blah, blah. And I posted the first one, and then the entire city of Ruston, it felt like, just DM'd me and was like, wait till you see this. Like, I have people DMing me, here's something I got from like the county clerk's office. Like, this is the address on this LLC, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, dang, y'all are better at this than me, you know?
Wow.
They're like, please use this, don't use my name because I don't want it, like, it's all you. And I'm like, sick. So it started with just a very, I feel like, low-level investigation from me, just easy Google searches. And then, like, it really felt like the entire city was like, yeah, we don't like these people. They scammed me out of this much money. Here's something else you can look into, or look into this. And it's like, rabbit hole goes deep. It's crazy.
And then you make these videos, they get millions of views. And did they respond to you?
Just cease and desist. Like, hey, we're going to sue you if you don't cut it out.
So they threatened to sue you.
Yeah.
But you made another video again.
So they
Yeah.
So pop off.
So
Yeah, for real.
they threaten to sue you. They send you a cease and desist. You call their bluff, and you keep making videos.
Yeah.
And then what happened after that?
I called up a lawyer buddy of mine, which I've been saying lawyer wrong.
Lawyer.
Lawyer?
It's kind of like one of those words. It's like pecan.
Lawyer.
So I hit up my attorney friend, and I'm like, yo, dude, like, am I going to get, like, sued for this? And he's like, brother, just as long as this is all in your opinion and you're sharing this with kind of a
Comedic.
like, you can be a comedic avenue, or it can be like this is what I believe, you know, leave it up to you, you're fine. So yeah, they were like, you know, Josh Benson, this is the attorney for such and such, you know, cease and desist. And I was like, nah.
So this podcast, I want the record to state, this podcast is allegedly, everything's allegedly.
Everything's alleged.
Right,
These,
right,
these are all my
don't get sued.
opinions. And they do not reflect.
This
happy and
is
healthy.
opinions of Josh Benson and Josh Benson only. Jeanine and Kaleb have nothing to do with any Louisiana matters, okay?
Yeah.
Continue.
You should have something to do with some Louisiana matters.
You know what?
Sandy Robertson lives there.
Well,
so-
hang on. I want to say that. Louisiana, Duck Dynasty,
You love
I
that?
love that.
Favorite thing about Louisiana? Go.
Duck
Is
Dynasty.
Willie, dude, literally, the Duck Dynasty family, Unashamed by Phil Robertson,
Yeah.
changed my life. It's the most amazing podcast. But
think-
anyway,
I think my favorite thing's Lil Boozy, but I'd put Duck Dynasty up there too.
is Lil Boozy
Lil
from-
Boozy?
He's from there?
Oh, brother.
Why do I not know who that is?
You know Lil Boozy?
I think I'm uncultured.
It's not Christian music, but it is music.
That's probably why. Because
Maybe.
I'm Christian.
So,
you know?
You know,
I'm a
other
Christian
guy.
girl.
No, he's very, like, if you're not from, like, I'm from East Texas, so, like, Boozy was that dude, but he doesn't, like, expand beyond his little circle. Love him.
Okay, so they send you the lawsuits or whatever, and then you keep making videos, and then they just go away?
Yeah, because something else that, like, you know, you've been studying this stuff. It's like, if someone's going to sue me over what I believe to be facts that I'm bringing to light, they're opening themselves up to, like, discovery, because it's
So
like,
true.
hey, let's verify, because if he's speaking the truth, then you have no footing.
Yeah.
And I kind of knew from the jump, I was pretty confident that I was right. So I was like, sue me if you want. We're going to basically verify in court then that everything I'm saying is true.
I don't know if we touched upon this. Like, what were your findings? Like, what did you find? Was it illegal things you found? Because my question is, because I don't want to say that Christians, you know, a Christian influencer per se, who makes content and, you know,
Or that
creates a
all
life from it.
Christians are like that.
Yeah.
Which is not what you're saying either,
Yeah.
but we just want to be clear.
So, like, what were your findings?
I don't know for certain if I found anything illegal. I will say I had someone put me in touch with an IRS agent for that area in Louisiana. I don't know if anything ever came of that.
Snap.
So that was kind of sick. I was like, yeah, here's what I found, big dog. But from what I did find, it was crazy manipulation, just in regards to how they would speak to the people in their church. Not even financially, of like, you need to tithe if you want to be blessed, or you need to give me this money on top of your regular tithe. Also just like body shaming women, like crazy stuff. Like girls are messaging me like, I don't want to put this all on them, but I feel like I developed an eating disorder because of the things that the people at this church told me, the leaders at this church. So stuff like that they pay for their followers and cultivated this image of himself that isn't real. In some of his private jet photos, it's just a jet that he rented and it's totally not his. That was one of my favorite findings.
That's tough.
That's just big tough. Primarily the big finding, they use their organizations to funnel money to themselves. Like here's this other nonprofit that we have that's not even tied to our church really, but it funnels through there. Oh, in our church, by the way, the only people on payroll are his father-in-law, mother-in-law, and wife and brother-in-law. Like that's so
just weird.
No oversight. And then I found something else that's fairly big. It's like they're the bottom of the totem pole of kind of like a multi-level marketing scheme of other pastors that do the same thing. And they all just kind of like, hey, I'll pay you $5,000 to come speak at my church if you pay me $10,000 to come speak at yours. And
It's a weird time we're living in.
very strange.
It really is. And I just want to like say for the record, like I am not against holding wrongdoings accountable because I feel like a lot of people could be like, you're coming for me. And I do think that there's some people that do need to be held accountable. And I think that is in a situation where it is kind of like, okay, this is really suspicious. And you are like manipulating your congregation to only profit you. It's like, are you donating that to missionaries? Are you donating that to any organizations or charities? And so that's where I'm like, that's a little weird.
Yeah.
And I think there's like a common loyalty in the Christian community where like no one wants to disrupt what someone else is doing because we're afraid of either misspeaking or doing something that's like not biblical or something.
Tell me if you guys grew up thinking this, but like growing up when I was young, it was taught like the pastor, like don't speak out against the pastor. Like this is the head of the church. This is, an anointed man of God. Like,
Yeah.
which I do agree that pastors certainly have a pretty high calling, but like being the age that we are now, it's like, yo, you're a human just like me. You sin and bleed just like me. So if you're doing these shady and borderline illegal things, I'm going to say something. I don't fear God being like, you're speaking out against my son when God's probably in heaven like, man, I wish I could flip a table right now,
Because I've been to church where I've heard the pastor call out YouTube commentators on the pulpit and say, there's people out there on YouTube creating division amongst the church, and this is hurting the flock. And I listen to that and I just go, I don't know that I agree with that. I think we're allowed. You know what the beautiful part about living in America, I've said this on the podcast, is freedom of speech.
Love that.
And
Amen, brother.
Big fan.
and this is why I think we partly wanted to even have you on the podcast where, you kind of made a skip in a way trolling certain creators that live in our world. And I look at that and go, dude, that's funny. Like, cool. Like you have the freedom to do that. But at the same time, I think we're like even scared talking about this because we don't want to piss off people that maybe are connected to him that we could be friends with. And so like our heart isn't to throw stones.
And even like for me, like this conversation is uncomfortable because I am an influencer who is a Christian, and I never want someone to think like, oh, she thinks she's better than them and she thinks she's above whatever. Like, I never want anybody to think that. And so it's uncomfortable because I'm like, oh, I don't want to create division. But I also think this is healthy to talk about because like what you were saying about the pastors, if no one is speaking into the pastor or holding accountable, or if he's this like untouchable thing, we see what keeps happening. Like, why do pastors keep falling? Because they think he's either untouchable or no one's holding him accountable. No one has checks and balances. And it's like, that's wrecking people. That's also, there's a trail of people behind that pastor that has pain now and church hurt and all these things because no one is speaking out. And that's where I think we're swinging to the other side of the pendulum where people are like, okay, now we need to like double hold everybody accountable, So again, it's like, where is that balance of doing
Gotta find
that?
the balance.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, this podcast is we have ads on it. Like it makes some type of money. It's nothing crazy. I think, you've lost money
Like
on it for a long
an
time.
episode. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, 30.
Yeah.
Well, because you guys paid me $10,000 for this appearance. So it's probably okay.
Yeah. Shout out.
But if we disguise this podcast as a nonprofit podcast and we were like telling our viewers, y'all should donate to this podcast and we're going to give $100 to XYZ. And then certain part of that money was funneled into, pay for our house and different things. That's where I would be like, y'all can call us out, but this is a business in a way, and we're not pastors. We're people with opinions.
I mean, if y'all don't know, podcasts don't make that much money, like in the very beginning. So I literally made $0. I was in the negatives
No.
with this podcast.
It wasn't even
and-
zero. I wish it was zero because when we got married, I told her, I was like, babe, this podcast costs a lot of money.
I know, but I loved it so much that I was like, I don't care. And I did ask for fan donations and people did, which thank you guys so much. But now I'm like, okay, I can't say I don't make money on this because that would be a lie.
Yeah.
And so now we don't ask people anymore, but shout out to you guys for listening.
It's a for-profit company, which is fine. It's like
Right.
people like love your personalities, and they're like, yeah, I'll support this. This is a company that I'll support, just like Cheez-Its or Gatorade. I don't know. It's like you pay for what you want.
Right. If you're anything like me, you are trying to constantly find ways to improve your health and find healthier alternatives to things that you're using in your everyday life. And one of those for me was my cookware. After learning about Teflon and the dangers of that and the forever chemicals in that, I decided to swap to Our Place, which is a beautiful cookware that I think you guys are going to love. So did you guys know that most cookware and appliances are made with forever chemicals, but Our Place is a mission-driven and female-founded brand that makes beautiful kitchen products that are healthy and sustainable. Their products are made without PFAS and Teflon. In comparison, most of today's nonstick pans contain PFAS, also known as forever chemicals, which are under increasing global scrutiny for their impact on environment and our health. Recognizing their impact, the EU plans to prohibit PFAS by 2025, which is crazy. So, just so you guys know, most cookware brands continue to use these chemicals due to their low cost, but not Our Place. And so this is a decision that Kaleb and I decided to do because we love to cook. We cook every single day, and we wanted to make sure that we didn't have any harmful ingredients in our food and our cookware. And on top of that, they're absolutely beautiful, and they have so many different colors. So upgrade to Our Place today and say goodbye to forever chemicals in your kitchen. Go to FromOurPlace.com and enter my code HEALTHY at checkout to receive 10% off site-wide. That's from OurPlace.com, code HEALTHY. And Our Place offers a 100-day trial with free shipping and returns. So check it out. I think you guys are going to love this. So even in like the topic of like money, I feel like there's some people that genuinely believe like Christians should be broke because they're like, you know, you should die to self and like lay your life down. And then there's some people that are like, no, like God wants you to prosper and da da da. And like it is a weird thing because it's like I don't fully know yet about that, but like I'm curious what you think because you are seeing all this stuff on social media. You are seeing people take advantage of things. Like, what do you think about all that?
Yeah, dude, if you're like a Christian that's insanely talented or like good businessman or businesswoman, go make a bag. Like, I couldn't care less if you had a successful business, a crazy good talent. Like, it's going back to how are you making your money, you know? Like, are you making your money because you're an insanely good singer or have a good podcast or like just have a great business? Or is it because you're standing in front of people in a Christian building, a church, and being like, you know, give me money, give us money. Like, how are you making your money? That's kind of where I draw the line of how is this wealth being created? Is it just from people just giving and you really providing nothing of substance, if we're being honest? Or is it like, yeah, you created a crazy big company and like it blew up and you're a millionaire. Good for you, you know?
So you have an issue with church asking for tithe?
No, thank you for saying that. I don't have an issue with that.
Okay.
Because I do feel like biblically we're called to tithe. I think the money that we tithe, however, should go to the church itself, go into impacting community. Obviously, pastors have to make money.
Totally.
What if the youth group wants to buy a PlayStation? You know what I mean?
You know, dude, that's like $200. If that would be fine, I guess. Like something like that, sure. Because I think you could still even connect it to like, yeah, we're fostering something for the youth.
Sure. Just no Rolls Royce.
No Rolls Royce for the youth because they can't drive.
What now?
That's a good point.
You know,
What about a
V16.
$39,000 Tesla? Because
I mean, why?
you know that's cheaper than a Toyota Camry.
I mean, but who needs a Tesla?
The pastor, dude, they don't have to pay for gas. You know, they're driving to
But see,
church.
like that's a good point because I feel like there are churches who will use church funds to like pay for things that it's like, hey, a regular person's company doesn't pay for their car or their cell phone bill. Me and Sydney were talking about this. And we were like, it would just make so much sense if first of all, churches were very transparent with like, this is how much we make. This is how much you donated.
Right.
My church in my college town in Nacogdoches did exactly that. And it was amazing. It was like, here's how much every one of our salaries are. Here's what was given. Here's what we did with the excess. And we're like, oh, this is lovely. It would just make so much sense if a pastor like took a salary that was like, yeah, this is the median income of the area that you pastor in. And it's like, okay, so you're not richer than, you're not just absolutely broke eating peanut butter and jelly every day. Like, why not just do something like that?
It's definitely interesting.
So my mom's on staff at a church out in East Texas, and I won't use this speaker's name, but she was literally asking me in Sydney, she was like, we're having this type of conference, and the idea has been floated around. Should we pay, I think it was $30,000 to have this person come speak? Like, we could use that for other things. And I'm like, no human being's worth 30 grand. Maybe if you had Jesus himself, I would pay 30 grand. But like, to your point, I think people almost like buy in and get convinced of like, if we can have this celebrity, like it's going to change everything. And it's like, no, they're not worth that money.
Yeah, you're putting too much hope into man also in that.
I would say it's like morally neutral, where it is like it's a gray line of like, is it wrong for, a pastor to use his gifts and be compensated for said gifts? Yeah, that is tough. Should there be a number on it? Because now we get into the weeds of, no, pastors should only get paid XYZ. And I don't know if I agree with that necessarily, but I do think it is interesting that, you can throw a conference and pay a pastor to $100,000 or however much.
This is the reason for accountability, which a lot of non-denominational churches, the way they're established, probably don't have a ton of accountability for like the pastor that started it. And that's just because of like a church business model, which I hate that I have to say church business models, but like when a church is first starting, what's the best way to keep costs low? It's like, we don't have any employees. We've got one pastor, and that pastor typically can be advertised as a bit of a celebrity, like you've seen, and then the church grows.
Yeah.
But then as the church grows, the pastor still holds power, and it's like, maybe I don't want to hire a board or what have you.
What about Jeanine? Like, if Jeanine got offered, like, to go speak at a conference, like where do you draw the line there of how much you get paid to speak?
I mean, that's something I feel like Jeanine gets to decide,
Yeah. Do you think it's wrong for
Guys,
churches?
to be real, I do not get paid that at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Literally at
Jeanine
all.
got $100,000 to speak at
Yeah.
this conference. Okay.
And I pocketed all of it.
After taxes. Okay, cool.
That's it. We gave all the money to Josh to come to the podcast.
Right. Yeah, that's how much she charges to be on a podcast.
But then I gave it to my nonprofits that I own and
for profit.
I have access to checking accounts. But it's a nonprofit, so it's totally okay.
So here's the question, Josh. You're a successful comedian and you have a good following. So like, what if Trey Kennedy or John Chris pay you $27,000 to go on tour with them? Is that okay?
Well, first of all, I'm not successful remotely. But if they were to do that, I feel like that's a for-profit endeavor. I'd do that.
Yeah.
If someone says Josh is worth $27,000, which will not happen anytime soon, but if they say,
You never
give me a bag
What about the Passion Conference calls you? They want you to be on a panel.
for $27,000.
$27,000.
I legitimately, I kid you not, I would probably be like, I'll do it for like 10. And I'm not even worth 10. I feel like I would try to cut back on that number. But I mean, that's just like me personally. Like, somebody offers Jeanine X amount of dollars, go get it. Like, that's someone acknowledging that we think you're worth this. And I feel like at that point, your personal convictions, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I do feel personally convicted. Like, to be transparent, like, I do not get literally nearly that fee at all. Like, not even a fraction of that. Yeah. And it does feel weird to take that much money from a church. I don't know. That's my own personal conviction, as you're saying. And I'm like, man, like that $30K, that could have been used to like really bless a lot of people.
Yeah.
But I don't know fully where I stand on that, because some people, they'll be like, no, like I'll take it. I'll use it to fund all my business and pay my employees. And it's like, whatever you want to do with it. But it's just an interesting time we're in, because it's so like unprecedented, I feel like.
Yeah.
It's really interesting.
And I think churches, their argument is, why, as Christians, why aren't we allowed to, move around money to other believers and to keep the money in the ecosystem and bless each other, and the church provides XYZ for the congregation. If we sat down with a big prosperity like church or a pastor, I bet you they could sit down and give us a lot of good reasons for why they pay the things that they pay. That would be an interesting conversation.
Yeah,
Well, to
that
be
would.
fair, I asked one of the family members in Ruston. I was speaking personally to him, and I was like, so you feel like you guys need to like rent out a private jet when you go places? And his reasoning for that was like, well, Jesus had a boat to get across the lake.
Stop.
So I feel like it would be an interesting convo with maybe someone that doesn't have a room temperature IQ on that. But,
Yeah.
like private jets and it's like the flexing almost. It's like to like maybe just conclude it on it. It's like, I don't have an issue with a pastor having a car or even a good car. It's just like, do you need a Range Rover? When all of your congregants are like driving beat up Subarus. You need a Range Rover for real. You need a private jet
Yep.
that you can rent out. Like I
Yep.
have issue with that.
Do you know Preachers and Sneakers?
Love preachers and sneakers. Yeah.
This it's kind of a similar sentiment that I've heard him on some podcasts talk about. Listen, I think you and I have, maybe similar opinions on, and we're not saying we fully agree, but we're also saying we don't fully disagree.
Yeah.
And I think these conversations just need to happen. And that's the beautiful part about a podcast.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on, you also do a lot of like you'll go and you'll like pick like 10 cringy Christian TikToks. What are like things that like give you the ick on TikTok? Because like the Christian thirst traps.
Yeah.
That whole
Christian
thing.
thirst traps.
It's so funny.
Any Christian male with his shirt off, instant cringe.
And he has a cross necklace.
Yeah, cross necklace. And of course he's jacked every time.
He's always jacked.
It's not the larger gentlemen that are taking their shirts off. I might respect that a bit more, but it's like, of course you're jacked and you're like flexing your abs, like super just like.
But they're like worshiping at the same time.
Yeah, like, oh, I love God and my biceps so huge. Like, cringe.
The American flag's in the back.
So patriotic. That I feel like Daddy God just gives me the ick. And I have, I get it. Some people, God's their daddy. Still just kind of icks me out a little bit,
Yeah.
So that's probably the two most solid ones.
I feel like the thing that I always go back to with this whole conversation. So I keep bringing it serious because I feel like I need to like make sure people know.
It's okay.
I know y'all are having fun, but I'm like, I still want to make sure people understand that I feel like what truly matters is you can tell people's heart and you can tell people's intentions. And not always, like the lines can be blurred, but I think truly what God does look for is your heart and is your intentions and your purity of motive and character. But I feel like you can tell when it's not in there. And not everybody does it perfectly. Like, I haven't done it perfectly in my past for sure. And even now, I'm sure there's things where I'm like, oh, maybe there was a different motive. But I feel like you can really tell the difference between people that are like, okay, I'm going to use God as a means to gain, or people that are genuinely like, I want to help people know Jesus and use my platform for something good.
Yeah. And before the internet, like the internet comes about, and then all of a sudden I feel like we have a lot more teachers and just people with platforms than we did, before pre-internet. Pre-internet was like, a pastor, a speaker, it's like, boom. But I sometimes feel a need when I see a Christian who maybe doesn't even have a platform, but they makes a video in the name of God that's just like, this feels weird. I almost feel like a need to be like, yo, like it's not us. We don't do that.
Blame him.
We don't do that. We have our shirts on,
Would you say, because like I can't figure out your political stances.
Nice.
I'll watch some videos.
We're going there.
I'll watch some videos where I'm like, this dude is really, really, really conservative.
Yeah.
And then I watch some other videos and I go, wow, he's a very, very liberal Christian, or he's very progressive
Yeah.
in his views. I can't figure you out.
No, yeah. It's like I told you the other day, like my West Coast friends think that I'm like a right-wing, like fascist, whatever, the whole alphabet soup of that. And then my Southern friends, they call me eloquently, they just call me a libtard. They're like, I can't believe you follow this or that.
Stop.
So I like to think I'm just in the middle on, like there's some things that I think the left does that I'm like, yeah, I agree with that. And there's stuff that the right does that I'm like, yeah, that's a good idea. Just, I pick and choose. It's not really valiant to like not pick a side, I guess. I want to pick a side so bad. I'm a team guy. Like y'all see me, I cheer for the Longhorns. I love having a
Let's
team.
go.
I hook 'em.
It's coming up.
I want to pick a side and have a team that I can ride or die for, but I can't because they all just kind of suck. So
Which team do you like better?
I told you the Longhorns, dude. I love Texas.
That's so great.
If you had to vote for a team this November, who would you vote for?
I told somebody, I personally do not believe that Bush did 9/11, right?
Okay.
So I personally believe.
This is a tough topic. I'm like, why are we going there?
I personally believe that it was Osama bin Laden.
Okay.
I'm not into that conspiracy of, Bush doing 9/11. So I told this person that I didn't agree with him. And you would have thought that like I was this just like anti-America, just horrible person because I didn't believe this.
Well, I mean, you are. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you believe the moon landing was real?
It's a good question.
That what was?
The moon landing was real?
Do we believe the moon?
Yeah, I heard that was a conspiracy all of a sudden. I never knew about
What do you
that.
mean you just heard?
No, like in the last year on TikTok, I saw it. I didn't know that was a conspiracy.
It's been a conspiracy since I
been
was
a big one.
in
I've been living
diapers.
underneath a rock.
But to answer your question, I do believe the moon landing was real.
Okay, tight. Yeah.
I think so too.
I think if it was fake, there was too many people involved for not just someone to come out and say,
Wait, isn't the conspiracy that no one's been back since him? Is that what it was or something?
That might be a whole other one.
that just might be real. I think,
Maybe.
I don't know. Has anyone been back
To the moon?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We've gone.
since we went?
Yeah, like Neil Armstrong. There were more people.
No.
She said no.
No,
No one else has been
That's
back?
what I'm saying. I don't think anyone's been back.
no one's been back. Our producer just told us they're going back in 2 years.
But that was the conspiracy.
are
They
all-
were saying, why has no one been back in this huge time span?
I feel like it's because we know what it is. It's like, why are we spending another $1 billion to go to the Rock?
Do you guys think Christian influencers are a part of the Illuminati?
Ew.
Wow.
No, dude. It always
Where is this
kills me.
going?
No, I believe that Christian influencers, like, absolutely are terrified of the Illuminati. Because I'll see, like, videos of, like, Andy Mineo and Lecrae are a part of the Illuminati. And it's like, in a music video, Andy, like, covers up his eye one time or something. It's like, there it is, the state secret that they don't want you to see. And it's like, you need to get out of your mom's basement.
Okay, I was going to say, what is giving you the ick on TikTok right now with the whole Christian stuff? Because, I mean, you're seeing stuff all the time.
Yeah.
What was the recent thing that you were like, yeah, no?
I'm starting to see an influx of like multiple groups of men, fully clothed, thank goodness, like all singing in unison, like the "I believe in God our Father," but they're like lip syncing it, and they're all just like licking their lips, like "I believe in Christ our Son," and it's like, I love that you guys believe in God and Jesus Christ. Like, why are you wearing lip gloss and like licking your lips every 5 seconds?
I'm dying. Okay.
So that one gives me the ick.
What's another one you got?
Dude, there's a minion lady that keeps on finding minions or AI generated images of minions in like biblical stories. So like there was one of like a lady was like, you guys aren't gonna believe this. Like there's a graphic designer that created an image of a minion on the cross dying for us. And I was like,
Oh, I saw that.
you know what I'm saying? Or like minion washing other minions' feet.
Yeah.
That one, brother, I'm not gonna lie, that one makes me, when I see those, I kind of go to the bathroom and feel like the Joker, and I'm just like, oh, I'm about to lose it. I'm gonna lose my marble, you know. And then
A minion washing other minions' feet is hilarious.
I think I saw you posted about that, and I was like, is that like blasphemous? Like,
I thought it was like
sacrilegious?
heretical. Yeah, I was
I'm
like,
like,
this feels.
This might be a random question too, but when you make a video and you start to see the comments and you see them start tagging people and tagging your friends, maybe even people you know personally, have you had situations where people call you and are like, Josh, what are you doing? Or do you need to delete that? Or
that hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
or-
Yeah, every now and then. I would say it's a little uncommon, but it's happened before. And I wrestle with, like we talked about, like I love freedom of speech. Like if you want to see something and interpret it a certain way, that's great. But there are times when I hide very, very mean comments because I'm like, that's, you know, just slanderous. That's horrible.
Well, I was gonna ask you too. Like, you probably get hate comments from like even Christians being like, "You're judgmental," or "You're
going to
doing
hell,"
this," whatever.
yeah,
like,
all that good
what
stuff.
does that look like for you? Like, what do people think about it?
When I first started, I would get so butthurt about it. Like, I'd be like, I need to craft up a response, and I'm going to flex on them with my biblical knowledge. But now I just kind of troll them, which I don't know if that's a good direction or
not,
not. But like now it takes a lot of pressure off me because it's like I don't feel like I have to prove my walk with faith with, you know, no scope, Mountain Dew Boy 69. So like I just feel like I'll just troll a little bit and, you know.
Hey, listen, guys, these aren't our thoughts. These are Josh's thoughts.
Yeah, I didn't say it.
My thoughts do not reflect the beliefs of Happy and Healthy Podcast LLC.
Yep.
You guys are so covered now.
Thank you. Phew, legally we're good.
Josh, what do you want to talk about?
Oh boy.
What's on your heart?
My heart. I said this on a podcast I did about a year ago, and it's still on my heart because I keep seeing videos. If you're on a date with someone and it's just you two, you shouldn't sit next to them. You should sit across from them. If
Like
you're
forever?
What if you're sharing soup?
You're not sharing soup on a date.
What if you're married? That's us.
What if?
I mean, yeah.
We're the
You guys
same
are
side.
married? Oh my
I know,
gosh,
shocker,
congrats.
right? Good job, babe.
Okay, I want to debate you on that, but go ahead. Give me your thesis.
It's so like sweaty.
Sure.
Like, why are you so close and touching the whole time around your food and just breathing on each other's food?
So you have sweat problems.
I've got a little
Are you
perspiration.
a
Yeah.
germaphobe?
Not necessarily.
Yeah,
no.
we're getting off topic. Keep
No?
giving me your thesis.
But it feels very sweaty, very gross, and it's just kind of like you have no space. I do get claustrophobic. So I'm like bunched in at a Chick-fil-A and Sydney's right here, and I'm like, trying to eat my fries. I hate that. So
Now you
it's
got
like,
Spencer in there too.
Spencer's across the table looking at us now, I guess. So you sit across from your date. I feel like that's the only logical thing to do.
I agree on a first date or second date, but sometimes you just want to be
Near
you want to be cozy. Like I think where I disagree, if you're like in a corner
Okay.
and it's like a corner type booth, or it's the tables that are like all right next to each other.
Yeah. Okay.
And then if you're on the very end and you want to like squeeze in a little corner together, I think that's acceptable.
That's fine. I mean, hey, I'm not going to yuck your yum, but
Sometimes the chemistry is just so strong.
I'm not going to yuck your yum, but the chemistry is great, but there's also something to having the chemistry, and it's like, yeah, I'm not touching you 24/7, and my palms are sweaty, my knees are weak, arms are heavy,
That's something with Christians, though. We're
Maybe
pretty
so.
PDA because it's like this
we?
built-up tension.
But yeah, that's not PDA, though. I feel like,
No, I'm saying
like I can't-
Christian PDA is sometimes crazy.
I still feel like I can't touch my wife's butt sometimes. I'm like, is this...
I'm
in
dead.
public?
I feel that way in public.
It's like, oh gosh, am I going to
Am I
get...
allowed to?
Yeah, somebody like sees you guys, they like recognize, like, oh yeah, that's so-and-so, and then whoop up, and they're like, oh gosh, they're not Christian,
So if you saw us sitting by each other at a booth, would you like blackmail us on TikTok or
Yeah,
something?
100%.
Okay, so we're getting canceled.
I wouldn't even make a skit about it. I would just film you guys and be like, in the YouTube
Spotted.
cadence, are Jeanine and Kaleb Ward same side sitter? I would for sure do that. You guys.
The intense music in the background.
Yeah, just every YouTube generic like thumbnail, perfect.
That's so funny. I want to go back to spiritual manipulation
Oh yeah.
Wow.
because that was something I want to talk about because we do see that a lot. What are like other spiritual manipulations you've seen in like the church or in
Yeah.
Christianity or in this culture?
I think a big one comes in dating, like so much in dating. A lot of dudes saying what they need to say to like, God told me this, God told me that, and they can manipulate it however they want, Even women though, women doing it too. I feel like there's a ton in dating. God told me we need to break up. No, God told me that we need to get back together. God told me this is okay. There's like a faith movement that's like, this happened to you because you didn't have enough faith. Hey, like your dad died because you didn't have enough faith. And it's like, no, he died because he was very sick, but I think there's a huge faith movement of bad things happen to you if you don't have enough faith, when we know it's like, no, bad things happen because we live in a broken world, and sometimes there's just nothing you can do but have faith, and that's it.
Yeah.
Those are two big ones I've seen on top of the financial blasphemous stuff, which I hate.
What do you think of like the Pentecostal, charismatic movement?
So I think I'm like a closeted charismatic now. You're for sure Christian, but like the flags and stuff, and I've never spoken in tongues before. But I grew up like super Baptist,
okay.
Like I was terrified to raise a hand during worship, and it wasn't because of the sweat in my pits. It was just like, I don't want to get judged. But I did see a guy post the other day about why he waves a flag during worship, and it was like this heartfelt like rally cry of like, when I wave my flag, I'm proclaiming like the joy of the Lord. And I was like, all right, that's kind of sick. Yeah. I kind of get it. So I kind of rock with it, but like you won't catch me at an upper room service anytime soon, probably.
Okay.
No offense.
Does that freak you out, the Holy Spirit?
It doesn't freak me out. I just think that people take it and run with it. I think that whereas growing up Baptist, there was like literally no attempt to even interact with the Spirit, the charismatic side takes it and kind of interprets it to where, like, I've had people give me prophecies and words of faith that I knew in the moment they were saying, I'm like, this isn't real, dog. Someone prophesied over me that I would be an insanely successful rapper and build up a giant, like, music label company. And this is at a time when I knew, like, I don't really care about rap that much. Like, I'm just doing this because I want attention. I've seen it be used to kind of manipulate that side of things. And, like, the Lord's telling me this, and it's like, is he? I'm not scared of the Spirit. It's just like, I can't do all that every Sunday. I feel like that would get exhausting.
Yeah.
Gosh, that's so true. Yeah, sometimes they say things and you're like, or that people like over spiritualize it. Like, that's because, there's demons in your house. And you're like, or like last night, our alarm went off and our door was open and someone could be like, that was a spiritual attack. And it's like, no, the wind literally blew our door open.
Yeah.
And yes, for sure, absolutely things can be demons. Absolutely. Yeah. But also there's sometimes where you're like, I don't know.
Let me just use my discernment. Oh, I have a headache because, not me personally, but because I like drank a lot last night. Like,
right.
It's not the demons. It's just me being an idiot.
That makes so much sense. Okay, Josh. So branching off your investigative research of this church in Louisiana, you just recently made a post about something else you're investigating.
Yeah.
Can you tell
You're
us
finding.
Just
a
wanna-
little bit about what you're investigating?
So it's a company called Live Surge. Okay. What essentially it is, it's like events that are put on around the states, high profile speakers, worship music. It's like for Christians, right? It's like, oh, I'll pull up and I'll get to listen to so-and-so speak and I'll get to worship and it's great. It's a good time. What happens is when you go to these events, it's like that at first couple hours, like, oh, this is great. And then they put the company men on stage and it's very manipulative of like, I bet you're feeling God right now in this Chili's. This is great, isn't it? God wants you to be wealthy. You need to surge your finances. You need to be rich. We need rich Christians, which I don't disagree with, but that's what we need. People are like, yeah, put more company men on the stage. Lucky for you guys, we can teach you how to be rich with this crazy options class or crazy real estate class that you can get for $100. Like, okay, not bad. For the people that pay the $100, they go into this like room in some hotel, like conference room. And it's like, oh, thank you for being here. But now it's like a high pressure, very like timeshare-esque sale on like a $30,000 coaching. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I thought you said like, are you going to have faith to do this? Are you going to let God, vault your finances like this? They have lenders in the back of the room because who has 30 grand lying around?
Yeah.
They have financiers in the back of the room ready to like, hey, I'll loan you the money so you can do this. And people are doing it. And the reviews that I've seen and the responses I've seen of people that paid the actual 30 grand, they're like, I didn't get anything.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I got scammed essentially, in their opinion, in my opinion. So I believe it's a gigantic scam.
There are a lot of Christian MLM
Yeah.
scams out there. What's the one, Amway?
Amway's a huge one.
Amway, they almost got me when I was.
DMing me about it
Dude,
too.
I hate. Okay, no shade to Amway, right? I've got a friend that's in Amway. I got two friends.
I have beef with Amway.
I've got beef with Amway because when I go to work out at LA Fitness and a dude comes up to me while we're hooping and he's like super nice and it's like, yo, this is my buddy. Now I'm gonna like get some hoop sessions in or whatever. Next day after I give him my number because I think we're about to get some runs in. Hey man, you really just embody, great characteristics of a godly man. Have you ever considered, vaulting your business? And I'm like, I thought we were friends and I'm just a recruit.
Oh, literally.
Anyway, I got beef, dog.
This happened to me.
It literally.
It's happened to me twice.
Yep.
The first story. Janine, cover your ears.
Oh, who's involved? Which girl?
I'm working out at the gym.
Okay. Shirtless, yeah.
Yeah.
Classic.
This girl looks at me. She's probably 15, 20 years older than me.
Okay.
And she goes, you have the most beautiful eyes.
You do.
And I was like,
She's right.
I was doing bicep curls, and then I set them down, and I go, that's so sweet. She was much older than me, so,
This is news to me.
but it wasn't
You're into older women, obviously.
No,
yes,
yeah.
That's true. He is.
but she was so much older than me where it was like my mom saying it. To where it was just like, it was very sweet.
Yeah.
And she starts talking to me like, what do you do for work? And I'm like, oh, I'm actually,
I work with my wife.
no, this is
Have a wife.
this is before I met you.
Oh, okay. I'll let it slide.
Janine.
Yeah, this is like
let
this
it
is
slide.
3 years ago. So she's like, you should be in e-commerce. Like you have that face, whatever. Like you should work in selling your own product, owning your own business. Being a mentor.
Yeah.
And just the classic MLM spiel. And she's like, here's my number. Like if you want to, I can offer you a job. And I was like, I was at the time looking for a job. I'm 20 years old. And
Yeah.
so I text her. I'm like, hey, like, what's this job opportunity you're talking about? She's like, meet me back at the gym and I'll go over this PowerPoint presentation with you.
Oh, she wanted to trap you.
So she's going through this like these slides of this like pool of products, and you can, if you buy into this pool of products, then you can then sell the pool of products, and then she's my mentor, but I have to pay her $100 a month, and I would ask her questions. Is this an MLM? She wouldn't. She was like, you have to go to the next meeting for me to talk about that. And I shut it down. And literally, LA Fitness, I'm sitting there at the gym. This guy comes up to me and goes, I'm wearing a Christian hat. He goes, you're a Christian. Good to see godly Christian guys out here, lifting weights, caring about their health.
Sure.
And he's like, what kind of pre-workout are you using? He's like, I sell my own.
My Amway sponsor. It's like a commercial.
Out of his
He
pocket.
goes, and then he gets my LinkedIn, and yeah, they used Jesus and Christianity and faith to manipulate, to get you to sign up.
Yeah. You think, if God's attached to this, it can't fail.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, I'll pay this
Right.
guy. however
Believe me,
much
there's
money.
been a lot of Christian startups that have failed.
Failed miserably. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And if there's people out there, if you're a part of an MLM Some of
quit.
them make a lot of
Oh, yeah.
money.
For sure.
No, some of them make it bad because they got in early. and
You're
it's
at the
like,
top.
Which is fine, but it's
cool.
also like, yeah, don't use God as like the reason why.
Yeah,
You
sell
know.
me on your product because it'll be successful. Don't tell me
Yes.
your product's going to be successful because you put a tiny cross on your pre-workout bucket.
Yeah.
You know?
I just hate when they're like, this opportunity, like, are you scared of taking a risk? Are you
You need to step out in faith.
Oh, you're
Yeah.
scared? You're a scaredy baby? And you're like,
Yeah.
no, I'm not. I'm brave. I can do this.
do you remember Arbonne?
Oh, yeah.
My mom was a big Arbonne person.
boy.
And that Arbonne's the one that I think is like, it's like the Hinge. You know, like Hinge is like
The classy
the
stuff.
classy, you know, MLM scams.
Is that what your mom told you to try to get
Yeah, right.
you? No, Caleb, this is a
We love you,
classy
Regina.
MLM.
I am a hypocrite. I'll be honest with you. I forgot about this.
What'd you do?
I sold Herbalife my senior year of high
You're
school.
one of them. I can't believe
And
it.
hang on a
Ew.
second. I forgot about this. I went to one of their hotel conferences
Yep.
where they trot everyone around who makes 10 grand a month passive income.
How wealthy these people are.
Yes, and like new products, like, and I remember this guy who literally made me feel like the scum of the earth when I told him that I didn't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
And I recruited all my buddies, and they all signed up. I made like $150 off them. I think this puts a like almost a bow on the whole conversation because I found the thesis of it. It's people in high positions taking advantage
They know who to target.
of people, a certain demographic, to manipulate into, like use fear as
Exploit.
it's like use fear as a tactic to get people to sign up or to pay them certain things. And I do think MLMs do the same thing that these churches do. It's super
Yeah.
interesting.
It's a little exploitive of like someone's needs that you know someone has. You're doing it. I mean, that's all marketing, isn't it? It's all marketing is creating like you need this product.
Yeah.
And if you don't, life's gonna suck.
And if we have some people who listen to the podcast and who are a part of some of these businesses,
do.
I
We
would
love y'all.
I would say that it's like it's not black and white. You're not a sinner if you're a part of it.
No.
Right.
But there are people, you might be the person who's getting paid out, but there are people on the beginning stages who are being fed false promises from, hey, you want to work from anywhere, like selling this like dream.
And it's a Christian business too, so you're
Yeah.
like supporting God. And it's like,
Yeah.
am I? This just looks like face moisture. I guess
Yeah.
Jesus had good skin. I don't know.
in the using the mentorships as a piece to sell the product. Because I did talk to a guy who I know who's a part of it, and he's a part of Amway, and he was telling me, Caleb, I don't see the problem with Christians just deciding we're only going to buy product in the same community together. And I said, I agree with you, but 3 people from your company have come up to me not knowing who I am and used flattery and compliments and faith as a reason with ulterior motives. It's different. That's wrong. Setting up your own conference and asking people to come to your presentation, that's not wrong. But using manipulation, flattery, compliments in the Lord as a means to an end, that's the issue.
There's no issue, to your point, no issue if like a group of Christians says, hey, we only want to buy these Christian products. I just think it's stupid because we love America. I love capitalism.
Yeah.
I can get my car because there's 20 other different models that drive the price down with competition. I love that.
It's like socialism.
Literally, if you're cornering people and you're like, hey, you can only buy this one product that's made by the state, kind of just socialism. I mean, if you want to say it's because we're Christian and all that, it's like, I'm a big fan of the Martin Luther quotes, and I'm going to butcher this so bad, but I'm paraphrasing. It's like, someone should know your brand or your product is Christian, not because you put tiny crosses on it, but because of the quality. Right?
Ooh.
Like when I'm at work and I'm like talking to people, because I work in finance, I'm not sitting here starting every call like, thank you for calling. I love Jesus, blah, blah, blah. It's just like, how can I assist this person the best? And that's my reflection of Christ, is helping them and giving them a good service. That's how people know that you're a
That's
Christian.
so true. That is so true. Like, just because you're a Christian doesn't mean I have to buy your product. It's like, hey, I'll buy it if you are good quality, integrity, it works. Like, does it work? That's a good question.
When I
Like,
see
you know?
another Christian charging like $70 for a Gildan t-shirt that has a cross on it, it's like, your product sucks. And I love that that's your intent behind it, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, I'm not going to spend
on
70.
Gildan.
I kind of hate on Gildan. I have sensitive skin, and I'm like I have to rip the tags out of my shirts and
Oh,
stuff.
I get that totally.
So you're not going to buy our merch? jerk.
Yeah.
Is
what the
it
heck?
an $80 Gildan tee?
No, it's
No.
I was gonna say, I can't.
I literally feel so guilty.
I
Totally.
can't even afford
I'd be
that.
like,
Much less do I want to buy it. But like, it's like make a good product. I'll support your brands.
Totally.
There's like Christian merch that I'm like, that's sick.
Yeah.
I'll pay $50 for that shirt. You got
Right.
it. Make a good product.
There's a girl who did this Christian clothing line thing, and the comments were so pissed that she was charging $60.
But also, when you run the numbers, like, because I create merch, it is so expensive to make. Like, let me tell you, you hardly make a profit making merch.
Yeah.
So I just want people to know that if they see that price, they're like, why is it so expensive? It's like, you're really not pocketing much. It really is like a passion project if you want to make it, unless you really jack up the price, because you're not making that
But
much.
also, it's your business.
Totally.
At your point, like, you have freedom. If you want to charge $150 and make it like the Supreme brand, where it's like, this is so expensive, but it's like elites. Sure, do it.
Totally.
It might work. It might not.
Or if you just want to support a creator that you love,
You
it's
just want
like,
to support someone.
oh, you know.
But like as the merch or business owner, it's like you can't complain. You know, why aren't people buying my $200 T-shirt? It's like,
Yeah.
sucks.
I guess I have some questions for you. We'll go rapid fire towards the end. Are you afraid with how much you've came at some peeps? Are you ever like walk around like, I got to be a little careful because I've hit some people hard. I don't want to be the person who is coming at people hard and then I'm like, you know what I mean? Like,
The Bible literally says, like, whatever you judge will be judged back to you. Do you ever feel that way? Like, oh, shoot, now I've, like, really got to check
Yeah.
what I'm doing or whatever.
For sure. And like the Bible verse, it's I believe it's Paul. It's like God came to save the sinners of whom I'm the worst. Like I take that to heart, dog. Like I feel like because I have resting douche voice that people think that when I'm like talking about these people that they're like, oh, he's so condescending and he's talking down. It's like, no, I know that I'm like a piece of crap sinner, but it's just like that doesn't disqualify me from being like, hey, they're sinning too, but like just taking advantage of everyone and your sin like kind of, you know, steals millions from people. Like, and
Right.
I feel like I made a video about that one time, but of course that's not the one that gets traction of me being like, I want y'all to know, like, I don't think that I'm just like, oh, my stuff doesn't stink. Like, I'm very aware, but that is something that I still like think about. It's like, am I doing this for the sake of just judging someone and getting clicks, or like, is this a noble cause? And that goes
Right.
back to like my sounding board of like asking Sid, like, what do you think of this?
Yeah.
Am I just being snooty? Is this for real?
yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Because sometimes there's things that just need to stay up in
Locked
here,
away.
locked away, and then
Never
some
talk
things
about
that's
it.
like,
Yep.
okay, you know, that's fine.
Do you have any questions for us?
You do realize how crazy your story is, right? Like your love story. One of the million dudes DMing her, and then you just run into her at a coffee shop. Oh,
You know that I've had guys, literally random guys, make me music videos. Where's my music video from you?
were any of them
Me
good?
too.
No, I'm kidding. A full-on guy wrote me lyrics, made a music video, used his drone, highly
And you
produced.
picked Kaleb over him? That guy's
Absolutely. I know. He's definitely crying in a corner somewhere. No, I'm kidding.
This is all I did. I walked into a pool party with a jersey on, and that did it.
Was it the jersey?
What jersey was it?
It was a Russell Westbrook basketball jersey.
OKC?
Yeah.
Not bad.
with blue dunks on and
Okay.
green shorts.
Okay. I don't know.
And she looked at this 23-year-old and said, "That's my husband."
I did not
Not even
know.
the fact that you're younger. Like, do you feel guilty right back at you for like dating a gringo? You know,
What's a gringo?
A white boy.
a white boy.
I should know that.
Hey, look at this little tan skin. He
he
tans
is-
better
he
than
is
I
tan.
do.
I got a little Native
I
American.
was gonna say, you're
in
from
me.
Oklahoma. You probably got some like Choctaw in you or something.
Yeah, something.
Something for
I
sure.
definitely thought it was a bigger percentage than what it
Yeah.
was.
I think everyone does.
But he still tans better than me. It's so annoying.
Okay.
Takes me days, and he just is out there for an hour, and I'm like,
You're Guatemalan?
yep.
Nice.
Half Guatemalan, half
Guatemalan,
German.
half
So
German.
Sick. Question for you guys. If you're at a restaurant and someone messes up your order, who's getting a hold of the waiter?
She's
So she's
it's,
gonna be
it's
the
the
one.
Guatemalan in
She-
me.
You're gonna be the
is-
one that's like, you made fun of my husband, and Caleb's like in the back, just like
I'll say
she
something.
got me.
Janine will go, I want the chicken, but I know it has tomatoes and I know it has onions, but can you put a meat patty inside the chicken while you also squirt ketchup along the sides of it where the honey mustard? It's like, Janine,
Is this
that's
an
not
authentic-
that's not on the menu.
Is this an authentic Guatemalan dish that you're speaking
I've
of?
never heard of that dish in my life.
No, I just mean she'll change.
He's just saying I'm extra, basically.
Okay, that's
She will
fine.
order something that's not on the menu. I'm like, Janine,
That is not true.
she does.
They got the ingredients in the bag, don't they?
I'm more the person like, hey, if we are paying for this and I ordered it one way and it doesn't come that way, I'm going to either politely let you know Or just say, hey, you know what? Maybe I want something else.
Yeah,
I don't know.
that's fine.
I feel like if we're paying for it.
As long as you tip well, who cares?
Oh, for
That's
sure.
true.
I never am like trying to purposely be difficult.
The good news is we're friends with, a person who could be pretty devastating in our,
For our careers.
our career.
I'm wondering what we would just be
Oh,
canceled
me?
for.
I'm just kidding.
I could not be devastating. That would be like, I
I don't know, Josh. You have some power.
You do.
don't think I have power.
Oh, yes, you do.
Yeah, you do.
Absolutely.
No one.
More power than you know.
Wow.
Is there anything we
Because
have?
people respect your opinion. People respect what you have to say. Like, I watch it and I'm like, hey, what is Josh going to say next?
Which is surprising.
Oh,
I
yeah.
can't believe that people like respect the court jester's opinion, but yeah.
When are you going to do this full time?
Well, I made an offer to buy your podcast before this, and you told me no. So I guess
We
I have to
needed
start my own.
100,000. Sorry.
I'm saying this right now. Josh Benson will be to the level of Trey Kennedy and John Chris, if not higher. And I think those two guys should hire Josh.
Wouldn't hate that.
You know who Ruslan is?
Yeah, I love Ruslan.
I feel like you're the Christian Ruslan that's funny. Not that Ruslan's not funny, but
Yeah.
but like you would have the comedic take and that Ruslan's doing. I love
And
Ruslan.
Ruslan would just rap about it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like you should go on his podcast for a bit.
I love Ruslan.
Yeah, I would love to go. Yeah, Ruslan's sick.
That's the type of stuff where I'm like, I don't feel like it's bad that a Christian is commentating on someone else's
I just
life.
need someone to make me like, you know how Meghan Markle and Prince Harry, aren't
Yeah.
they like to? Y'all are kind of like Meghan Markle and Prince Harry. You know what I'm saying?
Really?
Just a little bit.
I don't know if that's a
You
compliment.
know what's so funny?
love it.
I did that little TikTok where it was like, who's your celebrity lookalike?
yeah.
It was Meghan Markle for me.
You know?
So, I
Uh-oh.
mean,
I'm
Suits was
I'm
good.
Mike
I'm
Ross.
I don't hate it.
Mike Ross.
No, you're so Mike. You're so Mike.
Oh, from the show.
Suits,
Got
yeah.
it.
But like Prince Harry and Meghan Markle got a bag to do a pod. I just need someone to like throw me a slight little, not even a bag, like a little Crown Royale thing. Just a couple bucks, then I can quit and I can go full time.
You know, I feel bad. I feel bad for the people who may be older and listening to this podcast who don't understand any slang.
They're so confused.
Because you spoke a lot of
Skibbity
slang.
toilet, yeah.
Skibbity-doo.
Sigma,
Oh my gosh, so Gen Z. I can't.
dude.
Give us a 1 minute monologue of all the slang you know from Gen Z.
Oh boy.
And
Oh,
just
shoot.
go. The floor is yours.
Okay. What the skibbity toilet Sigma is, Ohio, Levelton got baby Gronk, Livy Dunn, rizzed up in Ohio, Kai Sinats. There's some inappropriate ones that I can't say.
This is so over my head.
Dang, that's all I know.
There's some TikTok ones for sure, like where they comment certain things.
Yeah, but there's some that's like inappropriate.
Really?
I can't.
Even that, I was like, that was a foreign language to me.
That was crazy.
I knew maybe
I don't
two
know
words
what
in
any
it.
of them mean because I like used to be a teacher, which this was 2019. But even then, they would start saying things, and I'm like, "What? What are you talking
Yeah.
about?" Coach Benson, I'm going to be a Twitch streamer. It's like, no, you're not. You can't even have a conversation with your friends.
What I wanted to close out on, because we've been chit-chatting a while here. Okay, what do you want people to know about you that they would misunderstand or misconception about you based off of like what they only see on social media?
I think, like I mentioned earlier, I would want people to know that when I do make a comedic video or like if I do have like an investigative type video, that it's not coming from a place of holier than thou or like I'm better than these people. That I sincerely feel like everyone is on the same ground floor and we're all extremely broken and we're all just like trying to help each other through this weird, life and walk with Christ. And so I don't want people to think that it's like I'm just better than these people, so I'm going to make fun of them. It's like, no, these are my peers. And if I was doing the same thing, I wouldn't have any issue with them making a video like that about me,
Link Josh's Venmo in the description. And none of it is for charity. All of it
Please
is
tithe to
for
him.
his Maserati that he's going to go buy today in Highland Park.
Okay. Maserati.
Great.
Yeah, thanks for plugging that. I didn't.
I'm dead. Josh, thanks for coming on the podcast. This was fun.
this was fun.
This was a different episode, and I actually really enjoyed it. It was just like
This was a blast.
half the time it was just me sitting here watching y'all banter. It was great.
I didn't understand half the things Josh said, but I feel like it was just like really good just to talk through some of our thoughts.
Yeah.
But he gets all the heat for it. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
and the things we're thinking through, and we're like, Josh
Yeah.
said it, not me.
Yeah, and also we've said this before on the podcast. Not everything we say is black and white. We are making commentary, their opinion. If you're in MLM marketing scheme, whatever it is, like more power to you. Go get
Totally.
that bread.
Yeah.
Go mentor some people, I guess.
Get some minties.
Mentees.
Get some manatees, man.
Some
Go,
mint
you know.
leaves. Yeah. I was just going to close out and just say, like, a lot of this is just like dialogue of us going back and forth and like figuring things out on the spot. And so please don't cancel us either. Like, we're also learning, we're also growing, just as Josh is saying, like, we're also not perfect. We are figuring these things out as well. And what I was saying, it's a very like unprecedented time with social media and faith, and how do those two mix? It's a little interesting, and I hope we do it well and also provide entertainment, because not everything has to be so deep. Like, we still want to be a place where it's fun and you can learn from us, but also still provide biblical value and truth. And so we hope that you guys get that.
If you're going to leave a hate comment, just go to Josh Benson 32.
Yeah, on Insta. Yeah.
On Instagram.
You can leave hate comments for me.
Direct the hate towards
Yeah,
him.
no negativity here.
Yeah, this is a positive place, guys. We're happy and healthy here.
Thank you, Church Chad.
Give us a bit, Church Chat.
Just a bit. Hey, Kaleb. Hey, man, I just wanted to pull you aside today. I saw you across the church. Yeah, I'm glad you're having fun. Listen, couldn't help but notice on your Instagram story you posted a Morgan Wallen song or something. And I get it, you have your music, but me and the pastor, we were talking, and we were like, isn't that the guy that was intoxicated on camera throwing a chair? And we're just thinking, is Kaleb really saved if he's posting about this character, this music artist who is supporting alcoholism? So I just wanted to check your heart. You know, you need to check yourself. Maybe you need to go to rehab or AA. I don't know, buddy, because that stuff can kind of linger. You know, you're allowing a demonic presence in your life. So I just want to pull you aside, talk to you about that. Okay, buddy? All right, good seeing you.
Give us a dating one. We need a dating one.
us a dating
and we'll
one.
end on that.
Okay. I feel like here lately it's been like, look, Bethany, like, I know I said that God was calling us to be together, you know, but here lately, like, I've just been in prayer, like, diligently, and like God's calling me to break up with you. It has nothing to do with the fact that your like way hotter older sister's now single and she's in my DMs. Nothing to do with that. I don't want you to think that. But it's just like, I feel the Lord telling me right now that like I need to be single and like focus on Him. You know, and you've just been like super tempting lately. Like, you wore yoga pants the other day, and it's just like, what kind of woman does that? So like, we gotta break up because God told me to.
Triggered. I'm just kidding. That is so funny. Oh,
I feel
my
like
gosh.
I've watched so many of those online. To see that in person is
You go all in. I love it. You're
It's
committed
probably
to
like
it.
the 40th take that you're seeing.
Yeah.
Like, I have to turn the AC off so it's not loud in the house.
I love always the background music. It's the song that like sells it.
Yeah.
that's gonna
And comment below if you've ever had like a church chat do that to you, because I feel like there's some girls out there that they've experienced that, and I've gotten some DMs from y'all, so I'm so sorry about that. Well, let them know where they can find you. What's your Instagrams?
You can find me on Instagram at JoshBenson32. That's for the hate. It's Church Chad. That's for the love. And Josh Benson, the rapper, on TikTok. That's for whatever you want to comment. So, yeah.
That's so great. Thanks for coming on. This was awesome.
Thanks, guys.
I
This was
enjoyed
great.
this. This was so funny. I love a good lighthearted episode where we can laugh. We'll see you guys again next week for another episode of Happy and Healthy. Thank you for joining us. Leave your thoughts down below. Hopefully they're good. And we'll see you guys next week. Bye, guys.